Hi, I'm Tamara and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about the ENTJ and what keeps them from fulfilling their purpose in life. So, of course, we already know this type can be a very take charge leader personality. So when I think in terms of purpose, it's not unusual for an ENTJ who has maybe had a difficult childhood to rise above that, to somehow navigate and get an education, conquer things that many people would find daunting to do or impossible. Their personality type lends itself very well for rising high and conquering difficult situations in life. So it's a little bit tricky because I think they are very capable of reaching whatever goal or whatever dream that they have. I think they can get into a state of procrastination in some things in their lives that maybe they're not thinking of as important. So they may prolong certain things because they're working on other things. So some of them can procrastinate at times. And then when I also think about them, I think in terms of relationships with people, friendships, people that they're working with. I think it can hinder them from making progress or purpose when it comes to relationships because they have such a strong, dominant personality that it can hinder friendships. Because they are extroverts, they're going to have a need for friendships. They're going to feel a longing for that usually. So they kind of have to learn how to balance that when it comes to purpose and friendships and relationships. For example, many ENTJs can be arrogant. So what exactly is arrogance? That's not necessarily a word that someone would want to be called. In a way, it could be considered somewhat of a compliment in the sense of it indicates a lot of confidence, a lot of strength in what it is that they're doing in their lives. I think in order to conquer the way that an ENTJ does, you have to have some level of confidence, and arrogance can kind of swing things over the line so that you can accomplish whatever your dreams and goals are. But when it comes to developing friendships or relationships or even a positive relationship in the workplace, it could hinder them. And let's say that they're not a boss or they're not a leader in their job, it could set them backwards a little bit because a boss or a superior may not take their arrogance too lightly, and they may not appreciate it very much. Arrogance can also come into play in their intellectual abilities because they are generally highly intelligent. They may not have as much patience for people who aren't as intellectual as they are. And because they can be very blunt, sometimes they can put people down unwittingly or purposefully because they don't have a problem expressing to people what they think about them, what their opinions are, descriptions of what their personality is, all of that. So they have to be kind of careful of how they talk to people. They generally have very quick minds. They can be very quick thinking. And so they can become very frustrated, irritable, and impatient when they have an idea that they need to move forward on in a job setting, and there are other people who aren't as quick to make decisions. They may not want to delay things. They might not want to sit back and say, okay, let's gather up more information before we make a decision or before we move on something. They may be quite impatient when it comes to people and relating with them in organizations. They may not have the patience to wait until everybody is on board or persuading people to be on the same page. They might feel like, look, I already know how this should work. Let's just do it. And so they can kind of damage some relationships along the way. They may not have a lot of patience with people, which can also come across as rude because they're gonna say what they wanna say. And however you interpret that is how you interpret that. I'll deal with it later, but right now this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking. So sometimes they can be a little bit too straightforward, a little bit too blunt, and this can alienate some people, especially people that they're trying to build a relationship with. They can really step on some egos because other people have egos as well, and so they may do some damage to other people in that way because they can be very direct and very impatient, and they can be arrogant sometimes. They really don't like wasting time. They want to get on with things. Now, the good thing about them is if they should make a mistake, they usually don't have a problem with admitting to the mistake that they make. So that is a plus because they will take ownership of that. On the flip side, they can be extremely hard on themselves. So what could keep them from reaching their purpose is if they make a mistake, it could set them backwards because they don't like making errors or mistakes. They are perfectionists in many ways. It could cause an ENTJ to give up on some dream that they have or not push forward with some things because making those mistakes is so upsetting to them. But them showing that they do have shortcomings can build some connections because it makes them more relatable, more human. It helps people to connect. Not that they should go around failing on purpose, please don't do that, but they might need to take a few extra steps to calm down a little bit, give people a little bit more space to think things through if they're not as quick or as fast as you are. So work on having a little bit more patience with people because you can alienate people when you talk down to them, or you could miss out on a great idea because you could shut people down so quickly that they don't want to deal. Like, I'll just keep my ideas to myself, or they may find themselves pulling back and retreating, and then you're confused about, okay, why is this person not building a relationship with me? And it could be because they just don't want to deal with the confrontation. It's not worth it. Just do what it is that you want to do. So be a little bit more open to other people's ideas and letting them express those. I think an ENTJ could, maybe some life circumstances that they've had have kept them from accelerating in areas in which they wish they could have. I think if they are in a situation that maybe they feel uncomfortable with, they can get into an arena that they're not comfortable in, but usually, eventually, over time, they will figure out what it is that they need to do to become successful, to be orderly, to figure things out. Sometimes their toughness could keep them from their purpose when it comes to relationships or love relationships. They may find themselves in and out of more than one. Not necessarily, but I think an ENTJ could look back at a love relationship where maybe they gave up too quickly on someone who was really worthy of their time, and then they jump into another situation that is less ideal, but maybe they feel like, well, you know, I tried that other one and this one, I'll just kind of settle for this one because I can make it work. And there are ENTJs who like being in relationships. They want to be in one and they feel very driven by that. But sometimes they can have a very strong, dominating personality. I think usually in a love relationship, they can come down a few levels because they feel so vulnerable. It can soften their personality a bit, which can be helpful in a love relationship because people want some romance. But I think because they are used to being leaders, they can see when a relationship, they feel like, okay, this is not gonna work, or my feelings are too in the way, or I'm too upset, or you know, they may give up a little bit too quickly on a relationship because of their strong need for closure instead of pushing through or giving someone worthy of it a chance, which might be where counseling comes in. And I think maybe ENTJs, some of them may have some difficulty with accepting some counseling because they might not want anybody in their business, or they may feel like, I know what I'm doing. But when it comes to your purpose in relationships, it might be important. I think most people at some point, it helps to have someone to come into a relationship and give them that extra support, that extra objectivity, because we can all feel so vulnerable in relationships. So in that area, be open to someone else's opinion in helping you to understand your mate and tap into more of your feeling side. So you want to just make sure that you're treating people with some level of kindness, giving them their dignity and respect, no matter what your position is, whether you're a boss or you're not a boss. You don't want to be so harsh on people that they can't come back from it. Hopefully I haven't been too tough on the ENTJ, but at some point we have to be honest in order for you to reach your relationship and other goals in your life. You have to remember that relationships and building them are important. Not that they can't have fantastic, phenomenal friendships, but you want to be careful not to alienate people and to be a little bit more sensitive to people, because you never know when that can keep you from reaching a personal goal or a professional goal that is important to you. So check out my ENTJ video. I put the link below if you want to hear a bunch of really nice things that I have to say about ENTJs, because I do like them and respect them greatly. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, share this video with as many ENTJs as you know, and I will see you on my next video.